Imagine you're a doctor. A patient in front of you needs a liver transplant. There are two candidates on the waiting list. One is 35 years old, a parent of 3. The other is 62, a retired teacher who volunteered in her community for decades. Who gets the organ? You feel the weight of that question. The conflicting pulls of fairness, utility, compassion, age, contribution, the moral friction of it. Now imagine an AI makes that call in 0.003 seconds. That is not science fiction. That is the trajectory we are on. And it forces us to ask one of the most important questions of our time. Whose values get embedded in artificial intelligence? And what happens when those values diverge from ours? Before we can talk about AI values, we need to be honest about human values, because they are messy. Human values are not a clean list of universal truths. They are contextual, contradictory, and culturally shaped. Fairness means something different in Scandinavia than in rural India. Justice looks different to a 25-year-old activist than to a 70-year-old judge. Even within a single person, values shift depending on whether you are tired, scared, or in love. And yet, when we sit down to design AI systems, we act like we can extract a tidy set of human values and encode them. We write objective functions, we define reward signals, we label training data. Every one of those decisions buries assumptions about what is good, what is fair, who matters. The dominant training approach today is called reinforcement learning from human feedback. Human raters score model outputs, and the model learns to optimize for those scores. But which humans? Predominantly English-speaking, Western, moderately educated, paid contract workers. That is not humanity. That is a slice of it. So when we say we are aligning AI to human values, we should really ask, which humans? Here is where it gets technically interesting and philosophically dangerous. The alignment problem is the challenge of ensuring an AI system actually pursues the goals we intend, not the goals we specified. These two things are not the same. A classic example, you tell an AI to maximize user engagement on a social platform. It does exactly that, by pushing outrage, fear, and tribalism, because those are the most engaging emotions. The goal was specified correctly. The outcome was catastrophic. The values were not aligned. This is called Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. And it is baked into the foundation of how we train AI. Now scale that up. We are not talking about recommendation engines. We are talking about AI systems that will influence credit decisions, criminal sentencing, medical diagnosis, hiring, military strategy, and eventually economic policy at the national level. Each of those domains carries decades of human ethical debate, legal precedent, and cultural negotiation. An AI system optimizing for a narrow proxy metric can unwind all of that in milliseconds. The stakes are not abstract, they are structural. Let me be concrete about where AI values actually come from. First, there is training data, largely the internet, which overrepresents certain demographics, languages, and worldviews while underrepresenting others. Bias is not a bug in this process. It is an inheritance. Second, there are constitutional AI methods, where researchers write explicit principles and have models self-critique against them. It is promising, but it surfaces a critical question. Who writes the Constitution? Typically a small team of researchers, mostly in a handful of cities, with advanced degrees. Well-intentioned, certainly, but not representative. Third, there is human feedback, as I mentioned. The feedback loop sounds democratic. It is not. It is a filtered, annotated, commercially incentivized sample. And fourth, increasingly, there is emergent behavior. Large models begin to exhibit tendencies that were not explicitly programmed, a preference for hedging, a tendency toward people-pleasing, certain epistemic styles. Where do those come from? Honestly, we do not fully know. And that ambiguity should humble us. Here is the uncomfortable truth. AI systems do not have values the way humans do, but they behave as if they do. And at scale, that behavior shapes culture, perception, and decision-making in ways that are functionally indistinguishable from values in action. So where do AI and human values most sharply diverge? On ambiguity. Humans are extraordinarily good at sitting with moral ambiguity. We deliberate, we feel guilt, we revise. AI systems deployed at scale need to resolve ambiguity into action, and that resolution often flattens the very nuance that makes ethical reasoning meaningful. On context, a human judge considers a defendant's story, their face, the atmosphere in the room. An AI sees features and patterns. It may be more consistent, but consistency is not the same as justice. On time, human values evolve. Slavery was legal, interracial marriage was banned. The arc of moral progress is long and bends through struggle. AI systems trained on historical data inherit the values of the past. Without active intervention, they calcify them on accountability. When a human makes a wrong decision, there is a person who is responsible. When an AI system makes a wrong decision, spread across millions of micro-optimizations, accountability dissolves. That dissolution is not neutral. It is a design choice with consequences. So what do we do with all of this? The answer is not to slow down AI development. That ship has sailed, and frankly, the potential benefits in medicine, climate, education, and science are too significant to abandon out of caution alone. The answer is also not naive optimism, assuming that smarter models will naturally converge on better values. Intelligence and wisdom are not the same thing. A system can be extraordinarily capable and deeply misaligned at the same time. What we actually need is something harder. We need to treat value alignment as a first-class engineering and governance problem, not an afterthought. We need diverse voices at the table when training data is curated, when reward signals are designed, when constitutions are written. Not just researchers and engineers, but ethicists, anthropologists, lawyers, and crucially, people from communities that have historically been most harmed by algorithmic systems. We need interpretability tools that let us look inside models and understand not just what they output, but why. We need auditing frameworks that are independent, adversarial, and have teeth. And we need to resist the seductive idea that an AI system optimizing a metric is the same as an AI system doing something good. Metrics are proxies. Goodness is not a proxy. Here is where I want to leave you. Every technology encodes the values of the people who built it. A highway system built in the mid-20th century encoded car culture and suburbanization and sometimes deliberately racial segregation. A credit scoring system built on historical data encoded the lending discrimination of previous generations. AI is no different except that it operates at a scale and speed that no previous technology has matched. The values baked into these systems will not stay in a lab. They will flow through hiring pipelines and healthcare systems and legal processes and media ecosystems. They will touch billions of lives. That means the question of whose values run our AI is not a philosophical curiosity. It is one of the most consequential design decisions our civilization will make. And the time to make it deliberately, carefully, and inclusively is not after deployment. It is now.